Coming up here on Bloomberg Television, we'll get advice on choosing the right wine, sparkling or non-sparkling, for the holidays. Our guest will be Zachary Sussman, author of the book Sparkling Wine for Modern Times.
For TV and radio worldwide, welcome to Bloomberg Markets. I'm Shonali Bassick with Vonnie Quinn. Now to a very important topic as we approach New Year's Eve, and that is how to pick the best wines to celebrate. Here to help us answer that question is Zachary Sussman. He's a wine expert and author of the book Sparkling Wine for Modern Times. And what's interesting, Zachary, is you brought us a bunch of wine here to talk about, and all of them, I believe, are under $20.
Yes, you know, inflation, it's a reality we're all facing, and so these are all inflation-proof bottles, all available under $20, some even as low as $13. So yeah, it's exciting, and there's a lot of amazing options in that price point.
Well, what are some of the options here? I mean, if you want to buy champagne, it's not that you need to just buy champagne anymore to drink a sparkling wine.
No, that is one of the biggest myths and misconceptions. You do not have to spend champagne prices to get a really excellent sparkling wine. Just to start, like the first pick is this LOS DOS. This is a Cava from the Catalonia region of Spain, just outside of Barcelona. This is $13. It is just remarkable that you can get a wine of this quality from a historic sparkling wine region at that price. The main grape is Macabeo. People are often familiar with Cava, but you get these lemony notes. There's a lot of complexity, great with tapas. I actually like to have it with like pizza at home with like anchovies because it has this Mediterranean vibe. So huge fan of this wine for sure. And just like as an entry-level bottle, I don't think you can really get much better.
And take us through some of the others, Zachary.
Okay, cool. So everybody knows Prosecco, right? We all love Prosecco. We've been living in the era of Prosecco. So we actually have two from ZARDETTO, which is a classic producer. This is the more traditional one. These are both around $17. So, you know, if you know already, you know, you like Prosecco, I recommend this ZARDETTO. But what's new and really exciting is the Rosé. Because that is actually a style that was only officially created as of like 2020. Most people don't know that.
Rosé.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the main grape is Glera, but they put a little Pinot Noir in there. That's why it gets the rosé color. It's like vivacious, it's fresh, totally versatile. This would be amazing for cocktails. You could do a spritz, you could throw some Campari or Aperol in there. But I think it's really cool to show up to the holiday party with something that's a little different and a little new and unexpected.
You tried how many for this book?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea, but so many.
Well, obviously you wouldn't remember, but roughly.
Hundreds of bottles, honestly, yeah. And it was all during lockdown, so it was a good time to drink a lot of wine.
And if you like red wine, Vonnie, a Lambrusco is a great sparkling option
from
too.
Emilia-Romagna. Huge fan of those wines. Yeah, so sparkling reds, I think a lot of people don't even know that that's a thing, but this is a region that specializes in it. And it's great with like anything red sauce, you know, lasagna, spaghetti, whatever you want to do.
Is there such a thing as getting tipsy faster because of the sparkles? I'm just curious.
You know, I would say no, except, and this is actually an interesting point, I think people tend to not eat with sparkling wine. There's this belief that like you're supposed to have it before meals. Actually, all of these wines are extraordinarily food friendly, so my advice is pair them with food. Don't have them on an empty stomach because they all go great with food.
What about from midnight when you may already have had one or two, so you don't necessarily need the best quality? I feel like I'm giving away a lot about myself here.
Okay. Well, the thing is, like, I don't think you have to skimp on quality. Like, all of these wines are extremely high quality and they're all very, very affordable. For instance, if we want to talk about the final bottle, which is the Gérard Bertrand Crémant de Limoux, this is actually a really, really good value tip. It's about $20, but so Crémant, it's the French term for a wine that's made in the same method of Champagne, but just outside of the region of Champagne itself. So you get same style, cheaper real estate, a lot cheaper wine in terms of the price point. This is so elegant. It like really approximates drinking a champagne. If you want to give champagne a run for the money at like half the price, I would go with that for your New Year's toast, for sure.
We've talked so much about luxury on the show this week. What about the high-end spender? What are they buying in terms of champagne these days?
So champagne has gone through a really fascinating evolution in its own right. You know, historically, it was defined by all of the big houses, the names that you all probably know, Moet, you know, there's Veuve Clicquot, Cristal, all that stuff. Those are perennial classics. They're staples. They're great. They're expensive. But what is really exciting in Champagne to me and to a lot of sommeliers that I know is grower Champagne. So it's basically the farmers that would traditionally sell their grapes to those big houses are now making their own wines. They call it farmer fizz. So it's a little more artisanal, terroir driven, more reflective of place. and there's like really an artisanality there. So I think that's really what's motivating savvy wine drinkers and
what
champagne
makes
drinkers.
a good gift? You know, if you show up to somebody's house, sometimes I get that anxiety. How much do I spend on a bottle of champagne?
On a bottle of champagne specifically, or
maybe
just sparkling
wine is the better option at that point.
Yeah, well, I guess I mean everyone's budget is different. I think if you can show up with a bottle of champagne, that's always a super classy move. You don't have to spend more than like $50 on that. But again, if you're in more of a budget mindset, like any of these options would be pretty great.
Why don't we see celebrities bringing out their own champagnes or sparkling wines when we see them bringing out liquors quite frequently? I mean, is it the margins?
That's a really good question. I mean, there are certainly some celebrity wines, sparkling wines. I know that like
non-alcoholic though, right?
You know, I'm less familiar with the non-alcoholic market. I like to drink wine with alcohol in it. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Speaking of which, is there a variety of proof or whatever they call it? Alcohol content?
Yeah. So typically, actually, sparkling wines will be lower in alcohol than like a red wine. So I think none of these are above 12.5%. You know, red wines can get up to like 14-15%. So if you are concerned about having you know, a little too much, or you want to drink with more moderation, bubbles are a good way to go.
Are they better than, for example, other types of just plain old wine? And also, how does this compare? You know, we've been talking so many years now about kind of the expansion of the alcohol category, you know, different types of sparkling drinks, you know, sparkling waters and seltzers, if you will. So where does this kind of fall in terms of comparison?
In terms of alcohol content?
Or in terms of consumer choice?
Okay, that's a really good point. I mean, like White Claw and sparkling hard cider, you know, it's a completely different market. Like, you know, I wouldn't personally show up at a dinner party with a can of White Claw. There are cans of sparkling wine.
You're a true barbecue, maybe.
Maybe I'm a little bit of a wine snob, if you will. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of competition from, you know, those other sectors for sure. But, you know, if you're a wine drinker and a wine lover, you're probably not going to go drink hard seltzer. But there are some really good non-alcoholic wine options that are out there that are worth exploring. Yeah.
So, brief rundown. We don't have that much time left.
Yeah.
Countries and maybe a couple of other names that we should know about, and you know, countries beyond France, let's say, for champagne.
Beyond France? Yeah. Okay. So I'm a huge fan of Italy in general, not just Prosecco, but in the north of Italy, there's a region called Franciacorta, which makes amazing wines in the champagne method, although they call it the Metodo Classico because Champagne trademarked champagne method. So that's great. Spain is wonderful. Portugal makes amazing sparkling wine. Honestly, the thing about sparkling wine today is that sort of wherever wine is made, somebody's going to be making a really good sparkling wine because it's just this global phenomenon now. Yeah.
If I were a celebrity attached to a wine, it would be a cava.
It would be.
Yes. How about you, Bonnie?
I don't know if that would be my brand of choice or my product of choice.
I could see you being more of a French champagne.
Yeah, or just, you know, I'd probably have a water. I feel like water sells more.
I feel like water is good. Water is good, especially when it's sparkling.
Yep.
Anyways, thank you to Zachary Sussman, wine expert and author of the book Sparkling Wine for Modern Times.